If you're looking for a guide to install Linux Mint, you're in the right place. This is a full step-by-step video that covers USB creation, installation, and basic setup. I will cover both a full clean install and a dual boot alongside Windows, so you're covered either way. There are no YouTube retention gimmicks, no fancy graphics, just pure education. It's a comprehensive guide, which means it's long, but if you do it properly, you only have to do it once. And you'll complete the whole process within 30 minutes. There will be a pinned comment with common questions below as well. When steps are optional or only apply in specific circumstances, a banner will appear at the bottom of the video to tell you. Let's begin. Step 0. What is Mint? Mint is a Linux distribution aimed at general users who want a straightforward, clean operating system. It can game, but it's not gaming focused in the same way that Bazzite is, for example. If you're looking for a simple alternative to Windows for day-to-day computing, Mint is probably ideal for you. It is free and no paid license is required. It's great for escaping Windows bloat, keeping older hardware running smoothly if Windows 11 either isn't supported or is too heavy for the hardware. It's also a great fuss-free alternative to Windows for day-to-day computing. It can also play most games via Steam using a Proton conversion layer, but game support on Linux is not guaranteed, although most will work. Games using a kernel-level anti-cheat such as Battlefield 6, Call of Duty, and Fortnite are highly unlikely to work. There are online resources like Are We Anti-Cheat Yet and ProtonDB that keep track of if certain games are compatible. If you are a gamer, I would recommend that you use Bazzite rather than Mint for your Linux operating system because it's a bit easier to get games running well. Cache OS is another good option for this as well, although Bazzite is probably a bit more beginner friendly. If you have proprietary hardware, are a creator or an industry professional, you may wish to stick to Windows for guaranteed compatibility. Mint is great in that it supports most hardware out of the box, but like all Linux, it is not guaranteed that every single piece of hardware you own will work. I'm demonstrating the installation on a desktop computer today, which already has Windows installed, because that's what most of you will be using. This can work on laptops, and the process is similar, but there may be some more quirks. I'll try to update the pinned comment with fixes and advice over time, but most people are going to follow this through without any problems. Step 1. Making the USB. Before creating the USB, a quick note. If you have important data of any kind, please back it up first in case you make a mistake. To make the USB, we need the following. A working computer. I will assume you're using or have access to a Windows computer. A USB drive, 8 GB or larger, and all data on this USB drive will be wiped. And you'll also need an internet connection. Remove all other USB storage drives from your PC to simplify the process. Then plug in the USB drive you'll be using for this process. Time to get a couple of important downloads. We need a Flasher app to apply Mint to the USB stick because you can't just copy the files over. I've chosen to use Rufus today, but Balena Etcher is also popular and is available on more platforms. I prefer Rufus and it's what I'd recommend. Go to rufus.ie and download the latest Rufus that has the P on the end. Download the installation ISO, which contains all of the Mint data. To find this, go to linuxmint.com and head to download. There are a few options. For simplicity, choose Cinnamon and download it. There are other versions that you can research if you want, but Cinnamon is probably the easiest. You'll need to scroll down and download the file from a mirror. It doesn't really matter which one, so just choose the top one in most cases. Then we have an optional step if you're more security conscious. Skip ahead to the timecode on screen if you don't care about this and just want to crack on. Scroll up to the integrity and authenticity part. Right-click the two text files and download them. We can use these to verify the ISO we downloaded is correct. Now we need to navigate to our downloads folder. If you're doing the optional verification, open the text file and find the string of characters in front of the Cinnamon ISO. Highlight and copy the characters. Next, within the Downloads folder, right-click and open Terminal. Then type the following. Open brackets, get-file hash, then click and drag the ISO file from the Downloads folder into the terminal window and it should paste in the file path. Then close the brackets, put .hash space -eq, then open SpeechMark and paste in that long SHA code that you got from the text file, then put a closing SpeechMark. The total command should read something like what is shown on screen, although your version may be different. When you press enter, it should return the text reading true. This is enough verification for most people, but there is a further verification in the pinned comment if you want to be double sure the ISO file is legit. Whether you did the optional step or not, we can proceed to flash the USB. Open Rufus and, if prompted, allow it to receive online updates. Ensure the USB drive you want to flash to is in the top bar here, and remember all the data on it will be wiped. Click Select and choose the downloaded ISO file. Change the partition scheme to GPT. Change the boot mode to UEFI. Unless you have a super old computer that doesn't support UEFI, practically everybody should be using UEFI, and only if it doesn't work should you go on to try it again with CSM later. You can rename the USB stick if you want, that is optional. Head down to Start and begin the flash. You'll be prompted with a choice on screen. Go for ISO image mode. Depending on your hardware, this can take up to 20 minutes to write the USB. If any pop-ups appear asking you to format the drive, just ignore them, walk away from the computer and let it finish. Don't try to use the PC whilst flashing any kind of USB bootable media to ensure the cleanest write. Once completed, you can close down Rufus. Now it's time to shut down the PC so that we can move on to the next stage, which is actually installing Mint. Step 2. Installing Mint. Ensure the installation USB is plugged into the target PC that you want Mint installed on. Turn on your PC and immediately tap the key to enter the BIOS. On most computers, this will be the delete key or F2. If these keys do not work, you can research the key for your device, which is either your laptop or your motherboard, or enter the BIOS via Windows using the method in the pinned comment. You may need to enter the advanced mode on some BIOSes, which you should do. First thing in the BIOS is Secure Boot. This is a right faff to explain fully, so I'm going to give you the short version. Secure Boot is needed to play a lot of competitive online games and is technically needed for Windows 11. So if you think you'll ever need either competitive multiplayer games or Windows in the future, you'll want Secure Boot enabled. If you will never play such games, never use Windows, or if your hardware is too old to have Secure Boot, then disabled is also fine. If you don't care about any of that and you just want an answer, enable Secure Boot. Whilst in the BIOS, you can find the boot menu section and ensure the installation USB is placed at the top of the list. Then save and exit the BIOS and the PC should restart. You should load on to the USB stick. On screen, it will load you into a live Mint environment. If you get asked for a username and password at this point, the username is Mint and there is no password, so leave it blank and press enter. But usually you'll just go straight to the desktop. Find the Install Linux Mint icon and double click it to start. Choose your language, then your keyboard layout. You'll be prompted to connect to Wi-Fi at this point, which will help make the installation smoother by grabbing updates. If you use wired internet, it may skip this screen seeing as you're already connected. If you use wired internet but haven't plugged your Ethernet cable in yet, plug that Ethernet cable in, go back to the previous screen, then click continue again and it will pick up your connection. If using Wi-Fi, connect to your network on screen. On this screen, you want to tick the box that says Install Multimedia Codecs. You may be prompted with a field asking you to set a secure boot password, assuming that your secure boot is on in the previous step. This password can be whatever you want, but choose something you'll definitely remember and keep it to normal lowercase letters, nothing with accent marks, umlauts, no numbers, no symbols. Perhaps use a stock password like Mint, insert your name here. So for me that would be Mint Jack. Then if you forget, you can come back to this video so that you know what the password is. You could even just use Mint Jack for your own if you want. This is not your login password, it is specific to Secure Boot. So if you wanted, you can put in a password here that will be the same as your login password, just keep it in mind that you should use basic characters and not numbers and symbols. Next section is the installation type. I want you to pause because you really need to concentrate here to get this right. You will have multiple options on screen. Do not proceed until you've heard all three options first. The options are as follows depending on what you want to achieve. If you want to share the same SSD between Windows and Mint, you want to click Install Mint alongside Windows Boot Manager. This will automatically split up the drive and you'll get a slider to adjust the amount of storage that each OS can have. In general, dual booting Windows and Mint from the same SSD is fine, but sometimes Windows updates can mess up the bootloader for Mint, meaning you have to do a little bit of tidying up to get it working again. It's rare, but I've heard of it happening. If you want to remove Windows, completely wipe the drive and only have Mint installed, choose Erase Disk and install Linux Mint. It will be very similar if you don't have any operating system on the SSD at all. You should get a similar option to this. If you want to install Mint to a second SSD, i.e. you're going to have Windows on one SSD and then have Linux Mint on a different SSD, then choose something else and direct the installation to the correct disk. Installing to a second SSD is the cleanest way to dual boot if you're able to. Once you've decided on the correct option for you, you can click Continue. If you chose to install Mint alongside Windows on the same SSD, you'll get that slider that you can adjust how much capacity each OS can have. If the slider doesn't work and you want to alter it, go to the pinned comment for a workaround which involves creating the partitions manually from Windows first. You should also check the drive at the top of the screen is correct before continuing. It will give you a couple of prompts and you can just click Continue on these. Next, enter your time zone according to your city. This screen lets you create a user account. I recommend ticking Require Password for your security, but if you click Login automatically, you'll just log in without a password, so it's up to you which one you want to do. Now you can continue and the installation will proceed. Depending on your hardware, this can be anything from 5 to 45 minutes. Once completed, Mint will give you a pop-up. Click Restart. When prompted, remove the installation USB from the computer and then click Enter. Step 3. Setting up Mint. If you are dual booting both Windows and Mint, usually your motherboard will place Linux Mint as first in the boot order, which is exactly what we want. If instead you boot to Windows, start by doing this method. Boot your PC, enter your motherboard's BIOS, which is either by repeatedly tapping Delete or F2 whilst powering up the PC. On some devices the key may be different, or you may be only able to access it using the Windows to BIOS method outlined in the pinned comment. Once in the BIOS, find the section where the boot order lives. You want it set up such that Mint is the top option. This way, each time you boot your PC, you'll get a nice menu that lets you choose the operating system. Then save and exit your BIOS. So whether you've done that optional step or not, you'll get a boot menu that looks like this. And if you also have Windows or other operating systems installed, you can use the up and down arrows on your keyboard to select the OS that you want. If you don't touch it, or if you just press enter on Mint, you'll go straight into Mint for the next step. If you get a blue coloured screen that says Secure Boot or MOK Enrollment, this is what will allow your graphics driver to be loaded in properly. This may only be needed on NVIDIA graphics cards, so if you have AMD or Intel graphics, you might not get this screen because the support is baked into the OS. In some cases, this screen might not appear until later on when you install the graphics driver, provided that you have an NVIDIA graphics card. So if you see this screen, just follow through the steps I'm showing you on screen and enroll the MOK. When prompted for the password, this is the secure boot password that you set up earlier on the multimedia codecs page, if you remember that. I used Mint Jack, so I typed that in and pressed enter. The characters won't appear on screen as you type, so take your time and press enter once typed. On first boot, you'll get a welcome screen, which is fairly easy to follow. So we'll start by clicking Let's Go. First thing to do is set up some snapshots, which are a bit like restore points on Windows. You can just copy my settings if you want, or you can tweak it to whatever you like. Next is Driver Manager. This is for your graphics driver. Often AMD graphics drivers and Intel are already installed, but if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, it will pop up like this, and you should choose the recommended option. If you're wondering how to swap drivers, if you change your GPU vendor, from NVIDIA to AMD or the other way, the method for that is down in the pinned comment. It'll ask you to restart, but let's not do that yet because we can do it all in one go later. Hit the X on the window. Next up, we can launch the Update Manager, and we can pull all the latest updates to the system. You can also open Software Manager to grab common apps that you might need. It looks a bit like an app store. If you want to play some games, you can download Steam and Heroic launchers, and it's also a good idea to get Proton Up Qt for more game compatibility options down the line. You can search for the Software Manager at any time, so you don't have to do it in this screen. You can just go to the menu in the bottom left and search for it in the future if you want. So now we can exit the welcome screen. At the bottom there's a tick box showing to show upon boot. I would untick that now because you don't want this popping up every time. So untick the box, click the X, and then you can go down to the bottom left and restart the PC. You're now all set up and ready to use. If you want to try gaming on Mint, go for it. Although I would say Bazzite is a better choice of OS for gaming. Many games that just work easily on Bazzite have issues on Mint, and both OSs do basic PC functionality about the same. The two easiest routes to game are via Steam and Heroic launchers, which you can get from the software manager. One tip for Steam is to disable hardware acceleration within Steam to prevent weird bugs like this where the window doesn't render in properly. If your game isn't launching properly, you can go to the properties and choose a specific Proton version and see what works. Usually you just want the latest version. And that's it. You can go forth and use your lovely light and clean PC. If this guide worked for you, it'd mean a lot to me if you could tell me in the comments below, and subscribe if you're able to. This video took me a long time to make, a lot longer than you might think. There is a pinned comment below which I will edit from time to time with troubleshooting and other tips as people write problems in the comments. This video is made possible by your support, so thank you very, very much. This channel is also supported by our sponsor pc36.co.uk, so if you have a friend in the UK that needs a new PC set up cleanly with beautiful designs and top tier customer service, give them code YT50 to get £50 off any PC on site. Hope you have a lovely day. That's all from me.